have over 500 five-star reviews.
The Energy Swing is a complete lifetime warranty for a peace of mind guarantee. So if we replace the windows and doors with them, we'll never have to do it again.
I'll make an appointment today at EnergySwingWindows.com.
This spring, join Danny Gokey, Jordan Feliz, and Blanca on the Jesus People Tour, heading to your city. Join Danny, Jordan, and Blanca in Moon Township, Pennsylvania at Impact Christian Church on Thursday, March 23rd. That's Moon Township, Pennsylvania on March 23rd. The Jesus People Tour, live in your city. More information at transparentproductions.com.
When it comes to your child's education, do you feel like you have a partner in your current school? Or is it more like you're on your own? As you look ahead to next year, now's a perfect time to consider a quality Christian education with a school who will be a true educational partner for you and your family. Many of our area's finest Christian schools are offering half-price tuitions for first-time enrollees, like Tri-State Christian Academy in Burgettstown. Find a school that's right for you at wordfm.com/tuitions.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Cloudy skies for tonight with a passing shower. Tonight's low 39. Couple of morning showers tomorrow. Otherwise, it'll be windy with clouds yielding the sunshine. We'll reach a high tomorrow of 50. Mostly cloudy skies expected for tomorrow night with a low of 28. As we look to Wednesday, we'll see a thick cloud cover with rain in the afternoon. Expect a high Wednesday of 48. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Drew Shannon.
Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
It's the President's Day edition. Not really, but happy President's Day to you. Has anybody said that to you yet?
No, John,
No.
You're the very first one. It's so special and
Very
meaningful
nice.
to me.
A lot of people have the day off.
Do you prefer Lincoln or Washington?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Just a little this or that.
This or
John.
that. I think you have to go Washington because he set the standard, right? I mean, without Washington, it could be craziness.
I think you have to go Lincoln.
Oh,
I feel like you have to go Lincoln
Really?
just because.
of course. I mean, I'm not saying I'm.
Yeah, he shepherded you through the hardest part.
Yeah, I get it. But without Washington, none of the things would exist. Washington's lack of ego and lack of wanting to be a king.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
could have
really
a crazy
appreciate
person
that.
in there, but it's going to change the entire direction
I
of the
really
country.
appreciate that.
Right.
Okay, so you go Washington, I go Lincoln.
All right, sounds good to me.
That's fine.
Yeah, this or that.
Okay.
It's the Monday first thing edition.
It is.
Yeah, very nice. You're back from Nashville.
Yeah.
How nice.
Took a little trip there with my hub.
Excellent. Always nice to get out and see the world,
Man,
isn't
did
it?
we have a good time.
You hear some music?
We heard really good music. I mean, every time I've been to Nashville, I've heard good music. But this time was the topper.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
Well, I mean, we went specifically to hear a concert at the Ryman by guitarist Corey Wong, and it was really outstanding. It was great. It's the second time I've heard a concert there. No bad seats. The sound was excellent. We sat in the very last row.
What?
The very last row, and it was an excellent seat.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's just small enough. And
How
it's
big of a
such
space? How many seats?
Probably, it's a total guess. I bet it seats 800.
Oh, it's small.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my
Small
guess. I'd have
list
to
for
look
a
it up.
concert venue.
Yeah. So it was a terrific show. But then just around Nashville, I mean, so many talented people. We know that there are epic guitar players all over the city, but some great singers, some really good bands. In a space of maybe an hour, we heard a truly top shelf country electric guitar player, and we heard a band absolutely crushing Metallica. I mean, playing
No kidding.
and a woman who was on The Voice a couple years ago. Just outstanding. I mean, just there's so much talent there.
Any street buskers?
Yeah, but they weren't very good.
Oh, they weren't.
I hate to say that because that sounds, but they weren't.
I mean, that's
good.
Gutsy. So
It
they
is
show up
gutsy.
and they show up thinking,
yeah,
I'm going to break in.
There's not much happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we heard some real down home countries, like some hee-haw stuff.
Old school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the street corner or in bars?
In clubs, yeah.
Yeah.
Some really good stuff. And I had hot chicken.
What do you mean you had hot chicken?
Twice.
What's hot chicken?
You know hot chicken?
No.
You don't know hot chicken, John. So it's it's a Nashville specialty. It's fried chicken. And I believe in the batter of the chicken is hot sauce. Oh. And then there's hot sauce poured all the heck over it. So for someone like myself who's always said, I'm not really into heat.
Yeah.
I am now into heat because
Whoa.
it was so delicious. I had it twice. The second time I was eating it at midnight.
How'd you dream?
There was a lot going on.
Yeah, I bet there was.
Cognitively after that.
Sure there was.
But it's really delicious.
Brain on fire.
I got to medium.
Okay. Which I'm sure is super hot.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you reach a point where all you're tasting is the hot.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You have to try. It's so delicious. I mean, I would eat it right now.
Really?
I loved it so much.
I wonder if anybody in Pittsburgh does hot chicken.
I don't know.
Wonder. Right?
I bet if they do it, it's not quite the same.
Well, because, of course, it's a local specialty, right? So you can never replicate it.
Right. It's not like, there's a Primanti's in Nashville.
I mean, that's,
But man, it's good. Hot chicken is
excellent.
good.
Very nice. Okay, good. Welcome back.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We got a big show for you today, but before we get underway, as we always do before the show starts, Kath gives us news stories for the day. So without further ado, Kath, please, the top 4 at 4.
For Monday, February 20th, 2023, happy birthday to my daughter, Katie Rose.
Hey, Katie Rose.
21 today. 21 today.
Okay, that's fully.
Katie.
Holy smokes.
Katie Rose, I love you with all my heart.
You doing anything?
Well, we're not able to see her tonight.
Right. She's at college.
Right. So there's,
Little phone call. Have you done a phone call?
Oh, we've already
yet?
done a phone call.
Okay.
We'll do another phone call.
Good.
And we're going to stretch it out so that we can do a fit celebration with food items, a dinner with cake that I'll make, like with presents, the whole thing.
Nice.
But it's going to have to be delayed a little bit.
Do you remember your 21st?
Yes.
21st.
You know where I went?
Where?
Chi-Chi's. To have a
Where? Here? Over
on
here?
McKnight Road to have a strawberry daiquiri with my friends from high school.
Oh boy.
Is that dating me or is that dating
Chi-Chi's.
me? Yeah.
A strawberry daiquiri. That was your first legal drink.
Yep.
Oof. That's rough. Okay, whatever.
I probably had a chimichanga after.
Chi-Chi's.
All right.
Did they come and sing happy birthday to you?
Yeah,
of course they with a big hat,
sombrero, and
they were clapping.
That was crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Should we get to the news?
Please, thank you. Yeah.
Lex, should I get to the news?
Oh, why not?
Probably.
Yeah.
Number 1. Okay. A magnitude 6.3 earthquake struck southern Turkey on Monday near its shared border with northern Syria. Can you believe that?
Again.
The quake was centered in Turkey's Hatay province. It came 2 weeks after, of course, the same region was devastated by a series of earthquakes and aftershocks that killed more than 46,000 people. Now, this was originally reported as a 6.4, a depth of 10 kilometers. It's since been revised to 6.3. Not that that really has any functional difference, but that's what CBS News is reporting. So we'll continue to follow that story. Number 2, President Biden made a dramatic unannounced visit to Kyiv today. He conveyed American support, ongoing support for Ukraine, just 4 days before the anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. Biden was spotted with the Ukrainian leader outside St. Michael's Golden Domed Monastery shortly before noon local time. Apparently, they told Russia ahead of time that they were going to be doing this. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah. Following talks with Zelensky and a visit to the U.S. Embassy, the president departed Kyiv several hours later, according to a reporter traveling with him. And I'm reading here from the Washington Post. Biden's visit, however brief, though, represented one of the most remarkable presidential trips in modern history, sending him into a country at war and a city under regular bombardment without the heavy U.S. military presence that provided protective shield during previous stops in Iraq or Afghanistan. Number 3, John. It's a rare moment in modern history when both of a state's U.S. senators are sidelined with health issues, but that is the case with ours. Of course, Democrats hold a 51-seat majority, but Pennsylvania's 2 Democratic senators are absent. Our senior Senator Bob Casey is recovering from surgery for prostate cancer, and the day after that, John Fetterman, of course, checked himself into Walter Reed for treatment for clinical depression, which may last at least a few weeks. State Democratic Party officials say there's been no talk of a possibility that either might have to resign due to health care issues, but if that would happen, it'll be up to the governor to appoint somebody to take one of their places. The U.S. Senate doesn't return to session until February 27th. At number 4, researchers are announcing that a 53-year-old man in Germany has been cured of HIV. Referred to as the Dusseldorf patient to protect his privacy, researchers said he is the 5th confirmed case of an HIV cure. Now, this is not long-term remission, doctors are saying. This is really a cure. No detectable virus in his body, even after stopping his HIV medication 4 years ago.
What?
For most people, HIV is a lifelong infection and the virus is never fully eradicated. Thanks to modern medication, people with HIV can live long and healthy lives, but this Dusseldorf patient joins a small group of people who've been cured under extreme circumstances after a stem cell transplant. And that's your top 4 at 4.
Fabulous.
And of course, let me just say before we leave that Michael Jordan has donated $10 million to make a wish for his 60th birthday.
Do you not love Michael Jordan?
Happy birthday,
Stepping it
Michael
up indeed.
Jordan.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. Kath just given a peek of the world news. We go next, as we always do every Monday, to the White House, where Greg Clugston will join us and look at the news across the nation and around the world. SRN News White House correspondent up next here on The Ride Home.
101.5 WORD.
When it comes to controlling others in our lives, there's a danger that can lead to a lot of destruction, and we might be unaware of it. Here's Tim Kimmel.
You're either looking down the barrel of a high controller or you're looking down the sights. But one way or the other, this is just a human problem.
The high cost of high control. Next time on Family Life Today with David Ann Wilson.
Tomorrow morning at 9 on 101.5 Word FM WORD.
Let's be real. Retirement is expensive, and inflation is making it even harder with the cost of everything going up from pet food to a dozen eggs. Wouldn't it be great if the cost of your health care could go down? Well, Medishare 65 Plus is $99 a month for ages 65 to 74. And for many with Medicare Parts A and B looking at other options, that's 50% or more saved per month. No gimmicks. It's $99 a month, and you can use any Medicare-approved doctor or facility, and you get 24/7 access to telehealth from the convenience of your home. Better yet, Medishare is a Christian nonprofit organization. It's a community that'll pray for you and encourage you. And since we've cut out the middleman, you get to keep the savings. Call now. You can learn more about Medishare 65 Plus. Here's the number: 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE-55. 833-SHARE-55.
If you have an IRA or 401k, please listen closely. My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. Throughout my career, let's just say I've been in some hairy situations. And I believe right now the biggest threat facing Americans is they need to protect their wealth, which is exactly what I'm doing for my wife and 6 kids. And I believe the ultimate safe haven is physical gold and silver. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. The folks I use are Advantage Gold, and believe me, I've investigated the heck out of all types of people. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest-rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now now, and you'll see how easy it is to protect yourself with precious metals. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
South Point Telecom specializes in electronic chimes for your church or community center. Replace or upgrade your existing bells with affordable, high-fidelity musical carillons. This is Don Hoder with 30 years experience at South Point Telecom with audio, video systems, office phones, and computer cabling. Phone me now for a quick, affordable price. 412-646-6262 or go to southpointtelecom.com.
We are efforting right now to head to the White House, where Greg Clugston from SRN News is efforting to join us.
There's a lot of efforting going on.
Somewhere in between.
On both sides.
Yeah.
We're a little stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Washington, D.C. yesterday.
You were? Oh,
I had a layover.
We're Dulles?
Yes, I was at Dulles.
Mm-hmm.
I could hear the partisan infighting from the tarmac. I could sense it.
You get a T-shirt?
I didn't get a T-shirt. I did wait in line for 40 minutes at Starbucks, though.
Okay. Well, Greg says he's in the waiting room, Lex. He's in our waiting room. But
okay.
Somewhere in the waiting room. It's a big. I'm sure it's a big waiting room.
It's a huge waiting room.
Right, the Zoom room.
Right.
I was on a Zoom call today, a little earlier.
How'd that go? Were you in the waiting room there?
No, I came right in, and I decided not to appear on camera.
That is a controversial choice.
I took some flack immediately.
Yeah, because what you think your hair looks bad,
I just didn't want to be on camera. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just don't be on camera. They gave me a hard time. I said there'll be an appearance fee if I have to appear on camera.
Okay, now here's the thing. When other people, though, have their camera off, how do you feel? See, you hate that, don't you?
Like they're not really efforting.
Exactly, like they're doing something else.
Well, no, I wasn't doing anything else. I was sitting in my office.
But when you're looking at is it working like?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, we're good. All right.
But yeah. I mean,
but when you're looking at somebody else, you're instantly assuming that they're reading a book or,
It's a little icon pops up. And I was involved in the conversation, but I just,
Remember in the early days of the ride home, I think it was the first conference call that we ever did, and I was watering my garden. And I didn't put it on mute.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
And I had to tell you.
Yeah, you're like, what are you doing?
An odd sound coming from you.
Yeah.
Well, not watering his garden, but with us here in person, Greg Clugston, SRN News White House correspondent. Greg, we knew that you were there in the waiting room. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, good to be here and good to be connected. Hi, how's everybody?
Hey, we're good. Happy Monday to you.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a surprise to hear the president was in Ukraine today. Tell us the details, Greg.
Yeah, really fascinating. We can get into sort of the logistics of how he got there in just a moment, but essentially he showed up in the capital city of Kiev, Ukraine this morning, just about 8 a.m., and he was on the ground there in that capital city for about 5 hours. Wow. He met with the Ukrainian President Zelensky, was at the palace. They later did a walkabout on the streets of Ukraine, visited a cathedral there, laid a wreath at a war memorial. They had private meetings also while they were in the palace. And then the president did meet with U.S. Embassy staff before he left. But essentially, this surprise visit came a day before he was to arrive in Poland. Tomorrow was the original schedule, and he was going to be spending the next 2 days really just 3 days ahead of the anniversary, or 4 days ahead of the anniversary of the 1 year invasion of Russia invading Ukraine, to really, bolster continued international support among allies and to show a vote of confidence and strength for Ukraine. He wanted to do that in person with Zelensky. The pictures are pretty stunning to see an American president standing there amidst a war zone, essentially, in the capital city of Kiev earlier today.
That's spot on, Greg. I mean, it is an amazing image of seeing the two of them walking down the street together. I mean, can you imagine all the detail, the security detail that goes into effect? When was the last time a U.S. president walked down any street, let alone a street in a war zone? I mean, I can't imagine what had to take place.
Well, we could remember Presidents Trump and Obama and Bush all visiting Iraq and Afghanistan, for example, while those conflicts were underway, those were different, however, situations in Iraq and Afghanistan because the United States had a military presence there. There were military bases there that were operated by American forces. That's not the case in Ukraine. There are no U.S. forces in the capital city there of Kiev or elsewhere fighting this conflict against Russian invaders. So it truly was a war zone that didn't have the security sort of perimeter that those other Iraq and Afghanistan sites had. So it was a risky situation here, but the president felt adamant about going. We are told by White House officials that planning for this was months in the making, as you might imagine, although a final decision wasn't made until Friday by the president, Friday evening, Friday late in the day, before his departure early yesterday morning.
Fabulous. So talk to us about what was said. Any idea the two communicated? I mean, it feels as though every time that Zelensky and the president get together, there are some money or arms changing hands. This is more the same?
Yep. It was more of the same. And essentially, we've heard President Biden say for some time that the United States is committed, especially his administration is committed, but the U.S. is committed to Ukraine for as long as it takes. And he wanted to demonstrate that in person with a face-to-face visit just shy of this anniversary this week. And in the midst of conflict, other foreign leaders have visited Ukraine, but the United States was not represented by its president until today. And the president did announce almost another $500 million in security assistance. And these are developments of different types of military assistance that have been going out, tens of billions of dollars over the last year. And the president essentially said that we will continue to support, along with our allies, the effort for Ukraine to defend its sovereignty and its fight against Russia. And really, John and Kathy, what's interesting is just a very few minutes ago, we were able to get a pool report from there were two journalists that were allowed to travel from start to finish with President Biden. And the print pool reporter from the Wall Street Journal and an AP photographer. And those were the only two that left Washington and went on the entire trip. And we've just learned that President Biden is now back in Poland as of just within the last hour. But this is how it unfolded. They left Andrews Air Force Base yesterday morning at 4:15 in the morning on a government jet and flew to Ramstein Air Base, a U.S. air base in Germany, for a refueling stop. They then flew to southeast Poland, and then got off the plane, got into a motorcade of vehicles, drove about another hour to a small town and a train station just a few miles from the Ukraine-Poland border. And then there was a 10-hour overnight train trip into the capital city of Kiev.
Wow.
Yes. Then, as I mentioned, the president was on the ground for 5+ hours, got back on the same train, and just within the last hour or 90 minutes, that 10-hour train ride back deposited him back to Poland. So he's now back in Poland territory and will continue with his planned visit tomorrow and Wednesday.
Man, I got to give him props. That is a gutsy move.
20 hours on a train.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And somewhat fitting for Joe Biden, who has loved and traveled on trains his entire life.
That's cool.
I don't know how many times he's done it in a war zone.
Yeah, probably never, right?
No,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, parts of New Jersey on the way.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. No,
East Palestine, Ohio.
That's that's valid. We're talking to Greg Clugston, SRN News White House correspondent. So it's almost the 1-year anniversary of the Russian invasion, and it's hard to believe in some ways that it's been that long. Other ways, it seems like this has been going on forever. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine what the people who were actually living through this are experiencing. But is there going to be any things that are going on in the Washington area to celebrate, to commemorate, not celebrate, but to commemorate this? Greg, do you hear anything about that?
I don't know about any specific events or ceremonies that would commemorate, but obviously the president timed his travel this week to meet with key leaders in the region in Poland tomorrow and Wednesday, just ahead of the official 1-year visit later 1-year invasion mark later this week. And obviously, Poland has played such a key role as a neighbor there to Ukraine. They have taken in millions of people as refugees. And by all accounts, the Polish people in small towns and large have just have opened up their towns, their homes, their communities, and have taken in. They're not the only country that has done that, of course, but they have taken a large share. And so the president is going to be commending Poland during this visit as well, simply because of the role they have played from a humanitarian perspective.
From the White House, we're speaking with SRN News White House correspondent Greg Clugston. Greg, let's talk about another president. It was announced over the weekend that former President Jimmy Carter has entered into hospice care, 98 years of age. By all accounts, greatly beloved, an amazing figure, probably more powerful or more influential, I should say, as a former president than he was with these years in the White House. There has been an outpouring of love and support for the former president.
Boy, there sure has. And it's really, and you make a good point there, John, and others have made it as well, is that his post-presidency has been so inspiring and effective in a way that we haven't really seen with a lot of other presidents after they have left the White House. Jimmy Carter was a one-term president. He was elected in 1976. He lost in a landslide 4 years later. He had to deal with double-digit inflation and an extended hostage crisis in Iran during part of his 1 year or part of his one term in office. And so it wasn't a highlight politically for a lot of Democrats and the Democratic Party having Jimmy Carter in office, although there were some foreign policy achievements between the Egyptians and the Israelis that he helped broker some Middle East peace there. But his work and his volunteer efforts, Habitat for Humanity, his Carter Center, which is devoted to human rights endeavors. He won a Nobel Peace Prize in the early 2000s for his work at the Carter Center, and just his quiet faith. He and his wife, Rosalind, married 76 years. So he's not only the oldest living president at age 98, but they are the longest married presidential couple of 76 plus years. It's really something.
Fabulous.
Wow.
And of course, also he was known up until recently, because of health reasons he had to stop, but he was known for years of teaching a weekly Sunday school class at his local Baptist church.
Well, the good news is that there is this outpouring of wishes. And of course, I think anybody knows if you've had a loved one enter into hospice care, it could last a few days. It could last, 6 months or more. So Jimmy Carter will be with us, at least for the foreseeable future, although probably his last public appearance.
Most likely. He's overcome, cancer and some other health scares and incidents over the last number of years. But this decision to avoid any further medical intervention and to go with hospice signals that he's on his final journey here.
All right, Greg. Well, we want to thank you for being with us today. But before you leave us, I just got back from a trip to Nashville with my husband and was telling John about hot chicken. Is this something you're familiar with?
It is. My son is a college student in Nashville, and we have loved eating hot chicken during our visits the last 4 years.
How delicious is the hot chicken? I could eat it right now.
I'm with you. I am totally in favor of it. I tend to like hot, spicy foods, not to the point that the fire overcomes the taste.
That's
I think there's
problem.
a good balance to have there.
Right.
And there is some very good hot chicken in Nashville, no question.
And do you have a particular establishment that you prefer in Nashville?
Let's bring it.
Well, I've been to Hattie B's, and then I've been to the other location that was also considered, I think, maybe the original, and the name of that one is escaping me right now. Yes, Prince's. I've been to both of them.
Yes. Do you have any preference there?
I've been to Hattie B's 3 times and Prince's just twice. Boy, they were both very good. Okay. It's hard to pick. You can't go wrong either location.
Yeah, I think our mission between the two of us is just to get John there.
Right. I've not been there. Yeah, sometime. Okay.
I'm definitely on for that road trip.
I mean, the best I got is Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I mean it's good, but it's not as good.
Hey, Greg, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Have a good week.
Thank you. Greg Clugston, SRN News White House correspondent.
Doing it right, roofing, siding, and remodeling. The first Owens Corning MVP in Pittsburgh and one of the longest tenured platinum contractors in the Pittsburgh region. Doing it right, roofing, siding, and remodeling. Call 724-NEW-ROOF. That's 724-NEW-ROOF.
Want it done right, call Doing It Right.
What if I told you you can save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of people like you by offering free ultrasound sessions to pregnant girls and women who otherwise might choose to end their pregnancy. We know that pregnant girls and women who can see their babies on ultrasound are far more likely to choose life. Your gift today can save babies' lives. Just $28 can give a mother the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a click or a phone call away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or you can do it safe and secure online by clicking on the Preborn banner at wordfm.com.
If you have an IRA or 401k, please listen closely. My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. Throughout my career, let's just say I've been in some hairy situations. And I believe right now the biggest threat facing Americans is they need to protect their wealth, which is exactly what I'm doing for my wife and 6 kids. And I believe the ultimate safe haven is physical gold and silver. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. The folks I use are Advantage Gold, and believe me, I've investigated the heck out of all types of people. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now, and you'll see how easy it is to protect yourself with precious metals. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Roofing, siding, or remodeling?
Want it done right, call doing it right.
724 New Roof.
101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh. On your smart speaker by saying, play the word Pittsburgh. And on your phone via the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take. And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan. Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Cloudy skies for tonight with a passing shower. Tonight's low 39. Couple of morning showers tomorrow. Otherwise, it'll be windy with clouds yielding to sunshine. We'll reach a high tomorrow of 50. Mostly cloudy skies expected for tomorrow night with a low of 28. As we look to Wednesday, we'll see a thick cloud cover with rain in the afternoon. Expect a high Wednesday of 48. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Drew Shannon.
We were with a small group last night, and the conversation turned to the magnificence of God. And somebody in the group said, well, you know, I look at the James Webb Telescope and the images that we are given from that as the majesty of God. I mean, it goes back some billions and billions and billions, 13 billion years. They're saying they can go back and look at. Well,
doesn't that, it's like, we toss off those numbers like that makes any kind of sense.
I know, 13 billion years. There are, thousands of galaxies, trillions of stars, unnumbered planets. But this new discovery is fascinating, I think, to star watchers or sky watchers, because we, the Milky Way, this is our home, the Milky Way, we live in what's known as a spiral galaxy, right? I mean, have you seen the image of the spiral galaxy?
Right, what the Milky Way looks like from far away.
From a distance. Well, apparently the James Webb Telescope has discovered another spiral galaxy. Before we thought we were the only one.
Yeah,
of course.
Right.
But here's another one. Now, the thing is, it's billions of light years away. Not that we're going to go and visit. Oh, hey, let's go to the other spiral galaxy. But just to think that there's something out there that's similar to ours, I just think it's so fascinating.
It is.
I mean...
So what does that mean? That might be an unanswerable question.
I would say so.
But what are the characteristics of a spiral galaxy that would we need to talk to Hugh Ross, right?
Yeah.
That would,
not to me, yeah.
Right. That would cause us to think, oh, well, similar things might be happening in that galaxy than happen here. Well, do you think they have hot chicken?
They might have hot chicken. Yeah. Maybe it's the opposite of us, though. Maybe it's just cold chicken.
Oh, maybe. That's
right?
I hadn't thought of that possibility.
I don't know. I mean, if you get a chance, the James Webb Telescope is just unbelievable. What a great, incredible scientific achievement. And the images from there, I mean, we thought the Hubble telescope was fabulous, and of course it is, but this is beyond that times 10. So anyway, we are not alone as far as the spirals are concerned. Right? And we had that conversation about the idea of aliens. I mean, we talked about that more often than not, right?
Yes, we talked about it a whole bunch of times.
Do you believe that aliens are out there among us? Hugh Ross has a very definitive answer, does he not?
Yes, he does. Yeah. But he doesn't know
it's anybody.
He has a definitive opinion.
Yes. It's an educated...
He doesn't have a definitive answer.
Guess in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah.
The meanderings of what may be out there.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But just that we get a little tiny peek is so cool, right? To see that. For
sure.
It's just
you know what else I saw
and on.
Last week? I was waiting at an airport, and I saw it was a photograph that had been altered to show the side of the planet Jupiter. So it was just, basically the side where the storm is.
Yeah.
Okay. So not the entire planet, but just that side of it. And then the size of Earth put up against it.
Oh, yeah. With like a little teensy dot.
How could everything that happens in this complicated globe be so shockingly insignificant?
That's it. I mean, that's Carl Sagan, the pale blue dot.
Yeah. I mean, it is... I cannot get over the size discrepancy between Earth and Jupiter. And then you're talking about a spiral galaxy
billions of light years away.
It just... Your brain can't get to that.
I mean, anyone who's ever lived, anyone who's loved or longed for any empire that falls or rises, it's on this pale blue dot that we insist that we have all the answers to. We float out there, just a pixel in the mix of it all. It really is amazing.
We are sure about a lot of things that we should just be more open-minded about, I think.
Hey, one thing we're not sure of is...
what's going on at Asbury University?
There's been a lot of conversation about people in prayerful praise of Christ the Lord. Some are calling it a revival. We'll talk about revivals next on the ride home.
101.5 WORD.
When God created us, He had a purpose for our lives. I'm Alan Jackson. I have the privilege of joining you each weekday to open our Bibles together. The Bible tells us that God has made us what we are. And in our union with Christ Jesus, He has created us for a life of good deeds, which He has already prepared for us to do. Join me and let's see what God has for us today.
A fresh look at Scripture, weekday mornings at 9:30. Alan Jackson Ministries on 101.5 WORD.
My 6-year-old nephew got his first Bible for Christmas this year. He raised the Bible over his head in celebration, and as he did, caught his mom on the bridge of her nose, leaving us considering stitches. Hebrews says that the Word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword, but I don't think this is what that meant. It's Ryan from United Faith Mortgage, and we'd like to slam you in the head with an important word as well. Many experts believe that even with interest rates higher, this year should be a better year to buy a home. Inventory should go up, competition over homes has come down, allowing prices to stabilize, closing cost concessions from the seller are back in play, making it for many a good time to finally find that dream home while it's available, with the strategy to refinance once rates settle. If your family is thinking new home, we hope you'll remember us, our direct lender advantage, and that we provide a $1,000 lender credit at closing, a big thing my nephew would definitely celebrate. We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Mortgage lender license 22672.
Do you remember what was kept in a spring house? If you're an old timer, you know that a spring house was used for storing fresh, cold milk. In 84, Pennsylvania, we have another kind of spring house. Our spring house is an old-fashioned country store filled with all kinds of old-time gifts, great country foods, and you guessed it, fresh, cold milk. You see, the Spring House in 84 is also a dairy farm where we milk our own cows, pasteurize and homogenize the milk, and sell it all through the store. We've had people tell us it has to be some special kind of gourmet milk. We don't add anything to the cow's diet or to the milk. It's just nature's purest, most perfect food, and we love the way our customers love it. We also make a chocolate milk you would think is a chocolate shake, an old-fashioned buttermilk that people drive miles to get, and a 40% heavy cream that's wonderful for luscious desserts. Our 2% and our skim are the greatest sellers. Come and try some Springhouse milk at the Springhouse in 84.
Discover the magnificence of the Mediterranean with Alistair Begg and our trusted partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours. 9 life-changing days of powerful worship, Bible study, and history. Sign up now, deeperfaithcruise.com.
Roofing, siding, or remodeling?
Want it done right, call Doing It Right.
724 New Roof.
What is a revival? Like me, my guess is a lot of us, when we first heard the news about what's happening at Asbury University, the headlines were "Revival at Christian College," something to that effect. And I thought, what is happening there? Well, followed along. If you did follow along, whether on YouTube or some people we know went and traveled, people gathered, mostly college students, and they were essentially in praise and worship for more than a week's time, almost 2 weeks. Collin Hansen is back with us. He's the Vice President for Content, Editor-in-Chief of the Gospel Coalition, as well as the Executive Director of the Keller Center for Cultural Apologetics. He hosts the Gospelbound podcast, has contributed to books including Timothy Keller, His Spiritual and Intellectual Formation, and Rediscover Church, Why the Body of Christ is Essential. And Collin, welcome back today. You have written extensively about revivals.
I have, interestingly, in this new book that I've got on Tim Keller. He was a part of 2 significant revivals. Sometimes we might think of revivals as this national, international phenomenon, and it can be that. We often term those awakenings. But Tim Keller went through this a couple different times in his life, and interestingly, one was as an undergraduate in what we often known as the Jesus movement of the 1960s and 1970s. So that was a big part of his story in there. And then also when he started Rediscover Presbyterian Church in New York City, late 1980s, early 1990s, a local revival in that area, which is basically a way of saying that, if you want to use the old language, that a number of Christians were quickened in their sense of the Holy Spirit's work in their life. There was conviction of sin. There was outpouring of prayer, a desire to spend a lot of time with God's people. Basically, just what we're seeing in Asbury right now.
It seems online the ongoing question is this a revival? And I guess my first question to you is it important that we determine that?
Well, I think it's because a lot of us are actually immersed in the history, and so we want to be able to categorize it. We want to be able to say, "Oh, is this another great awakening? Is this going to spread to all of the different campuses? Is this going to change America?" And I think so. For people who've studied it, they think about the First Great Awakening. They think about George Whitefield and Jonathan Edwards in the 1740s, basically colonial America. Or they think about the Second Great Awakening and think about the prayer meeting revival that started in New York City, 1857-58, largest national awakening in American history. So I think people want to jump straight to, what does this mean? And I got to say, it's probably because it's the first time we've seen something like this in the social media era. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of happening in real time in ways. So, I mean, you go back to Asbury itself. I think if I'm not mistaken, what I saw from them was the last time we saw something like this was 2006. Well, pre-smartphone, pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter, right around the beginning of YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of the first real-time revival that we've seen.
I see. So, Collin, then the machinery of this, does it necessitate that multiple revivals take place before what we would call an awakening or a great awakening?
Yeah, I think that's right. So if we were, and we are seeing some evidence of this. I can, one of the place where I teach, Stanford University, we've had a very similar dynamic playing out. And I've heard of it at Cedarville. I've heard of it in a number of other locations as well. And so if we were to see something that spread throughout all kinds of different campus ministries and locations inside Christian universities, inside Christian ministries, that might even spread to churches. Yeah, that's what we would term an awakening if it had that kind of mass, that mass appeal. That basically is what we're talking about that is basically what we're talking about with the prayer meeting revivals of 1857, 58. It was started with a prayer meeting in New York City and just exploded throughout the country. And you can go back and look at all the newspapers of all the different places that it spread to. That's what we often term as a revival, or more regionalized or nationalized an awakening.
Collin, your point is really significant to me in that in this social media time that we live in, everything is a thing. Everyone can be a star. So I greatly appreciate...
And everybody can be a skeptic.
Right. Yeah. So I appreciate what happened at Asbury is that the people whoever those people were, they said, this is not about us. This is not about celebrity worship leaders. I mean, there were some reports that Tucker Carlson wanted to show up, and, it wasn't about, celebrity. It was about praise and worship.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's part of why there's a contrast with some of what we've seen in recent years. So the terminology of revival or awakening, it's not copyrighted by anybody. So anybody can kind of show up and call something a revival or call something an awakening. And so you saw this a lot in a number of different locations in 2020 with the lockdowns. You'd have these ministers travel to different places, and they do open revival meetings in defiance of local orders on the shutdown with COVID-19. Or you see it pretty commonly with certain kinds of ministries that focus on extreme manifestations of the Spirit, like slaying in the Spirit or speaking in tongues. That's pretty normative. Those kinds of events are happening pretty often. But the difference appears to be that they're a staged portion of the regular ministry of a certain organization. As opposed to Asbury, I told the Washington Post this, say what you want, but you can't just order a bunch of college students to stay up all night praying and confessing their sin and singing about Jesus. That's the difference with the revival. You can't schedule it. Mm-hmm. That's a big difference.
I love
it. Are there certain elements of a revival, you're talking about them from a historical perspective, Collin, that would be indicative and would help us to kind of, judge our current times?
Absolutely, yeah. So, and that's what you see a lot with Asbury. So you see usually bodily manifestations. People seem to be caught up in something almost physical outside of themselves. Doesn't have to be dramatic, but there usually is some sort of physical sense, a palpable sense of the Spirit's work. There's confession of sin. There's usually a lot of singing, like I said earlier, a desire to just spend a lot of time in praise and worship, spend a lot of time with God's people, just kind of like a church service that you don't ever want to end. And that's literally what happened with the chapel service here, that they just never stopped. It just kept going and going and going. Now, when you look back historically, and then I should also say people who will come forward and testify saying, well, I thought I was a Christian, but whoa, this is a whole new experience for me now. That itself is the very definition of revival, because it's a re-term. It means a revivification. It's not so much about conversions, new people coming to Christ. It's that, this is a new, deeper sense of an experience of the Holy Spirit. Now, when you look back through history, what you also see are pretty profound social changes that would follow. That's when you get into the history books as an awakening, and that remains to be seen. If we want to just take the Jesus movement, for example, the reason that we have guitars in church and pray extemporaneously, it was from that revival back then. So, that all remains to be seen. We're only a couple weeks into this thing.
Right. Collin Hansen is with us from the Gospel Coalition. His book is called A God-Sized Vision, Revival Stories That Strengthen and Stir. So, Collin, I was surprised, although I guess I shouldn't have been, that, the administration at Asbury said, we're going to put an end to this. I mean, it is a school. There are classes that are required to go to graduate, of course. But, is it true revival? Is there an organic beginning and an organic end?
Yeah, so one of the things I've argued, in fact, against people who are skeptical of revival is that the very definition of revival is that it does end. Because otherwise it would just be the normal state of things.
Right.
And so the situation, actually talked with the president at Stanford University, And I was joking with him about Timothy Dwight back at Yale University, back in, Yale College at the time, in the early 1800s. And I said, the thing Timothy Dwight insisted on is, this is great, but you need to go to class. There's no dichotomy between the work of the Spirit and the life of the mind, right, especially at a university. And so if you think about it as a position that the president of Asbury is in, they really have to think through that this becomes a spectacle with people from around the world, and it more or less shuts down their ability to actually serve their own students. So it's not so much like telling the students, hey, knock this off and get back to normal. It's more or less saying, this is great, but we're not a permanent revival camp. We're actually a functioning university here that has a mandate to train students in all these areas. So I think I see precedent going all the way back to Timothy Dwight that, this stuff is great, but it's not the only thing we should be doing right now.
So this is just, I'm going to have to ask you to answer this kind of quickly because we're real short on time. But so what about the people who are saying, well, look, it's already ended, or it's already ending, and so therefore it's not a revival? Those are people that are just ignorant about how they have happened in the past?
Well, I don't know that it has ended. Maybe the meetings have stopped to a certain extent, but we don't know the transformed lives. We don't know what's going to happen from here. We don't know what's going to happen when all these students go home for the summer or go on mission trips or study abroad, what's going to travel with them. So I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, I think, again, you can't schedule these things. The Spirit's going to do what the Spirit's going to do, and we don't have the end of the story yet.
Very good. Collin, thanks so much. This is exciting.
Really appreciate it.
I think everybody who knows and loves God, excited by this prospect of this revival and what it may prosper for the rest of us.
Great. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
And that's Collin Hansen. Check out his book, A God-Sized Vision, Revival Stories That Strengthen and Stir.
Excellent. We're going to talk about revival from someone who was there at Asbury during the 5 o'clock hour, so stay tuned for that. This is Pittsburgh's Christian Talk, The Ride Home. John and Kathy on Word FM.
What if I told you can save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of people like you by offering free ultrasound sessions to pregnant girls and women who otherwise might choose to end their pregnancy. We know that pregnant girls and women who can see their babies on ultrasound are far more likely to choose life. Your gift today can save babies' lives. Just $28 can give a mother the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a click or a phone call away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or you can do it safe and secure online by clicking on the Preborn banner at wordfm.com.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
Parents are an extremely important part of their child's education.
Cara Bell, principal at Jubilee Christian School in Mount Lebanon.
We try to partner with parents and try to instill values that the parents want as well. We love to have parents come in and volunteer for activities, for recess, for lunch, to help out in the classroom. Field experiences once a month. We try to team so that we can meet the child's needs.
Imagine, believe, achieve. Jubilee Christian School, K through 8th grade. Now enrolling for the fall at jubileecs.org.
Bachman's Roofing and Solar is your local award-winning roofer. Stop waiting. It's time to inspect your roof and protect your home's #1 asset. With no interest and no payment financing for 12 months, Bachman's Roofing is your easy choice for roofing, gutters, and solar. Did you know Bachman's Roofing is one of the #1 GAF solar integrated roofing installers in the USA? Go with Bachman's. Go with solar and install the roof that pays for itself. Call 412-744-8390 or visit bachmansroofing.com.
I often have trouble with sleep. So when I see articles or read stories about people who are like-minded falling asleep, I'm drawn to that. Now, I saw a piece in last week's New York Times. The headline is, "A Secret for Falling Asleep So Good It's a British National Treasure." Now, there's something called the BBC Shipping Forecast. It is a weather report from deep in the analog era. And it is on the radio, BBC Radio 4 production. It is no fancier, apparently, than the name suggests. It is simply a program featuring weather reports that narrate the gales and tides all around the British Isles. If some people doze off to the sound of rain, this author says, I fall off to the sound of weather reports. Grace Linden is the reporter here. Now, this has been around for a long time.
So these are recordings of what year?
Current.
Oh, so they're current ones.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if they were historical ones.
No,
okay.
but because the British Isles and its confines are large, and there's a lot of different shipping lanes in and around there, they're all sort of put together. It's kind of like listening to the national weather forecast. You might get something, you might get California mixed in with New England,
sure,
right? But these go on for a long time. Okay. I think it's fascinating. The radio predictions provoke nostalgia, apparently, in their simplicity and their beauty, which is why millions, I did not know this, have tuned in to listen over the years, even though most of us do not spend our lives at sea. These days, fishermen, of course, and sailors have access to more precise data via satellites and the internet. They no longer need 4 daily broadcasts to tell them which way to hoist their sails. And anyway, soon there will be only the early morning and late night reports, because there are plans to end the 2 update broadcasts on long-wave radio. In 2022, the BBC announced its intention to end the long-wave transmissions sometime in the future. Now, Radiohead, the band Radiohead, made allusions to these broadcasts, to the shipping forecast on its album Kid A. Carol Ann Duffy, who was a former British poet laureate, concluded her poem, Prayer, by evoking its locales. Darkness outside, inside the radio prayers Rock Call, Marlin, Dogger, Finisterre. Judi Dench, another national treasure, chose the forecast as one of 8 recordings that she would want to accompany her if she were a castaway, citing her love of Finisterre's, Britain's retired name for a sea area off the coast of Spain. She says, quote, I love the whole idea of Land's End, and the BBC broadcasts allow me that imagination.
I have to hear this.
Yeah, me too. BBC. The radio broadcasting of weather reports around the British Isles.
Listen on your smart speaker at wordfm.com, the Word FM app, iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. In your car or at home, too, at 101.5 WORD-FM, Pittsburgh.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. A suspect arrested in the killing of a Catholic bishop who was fatally shot over the weekend in Southern California. The person was arrested in the killing of Bishop David O'Connell, who was found in his home with a gunshot wound. More details will be provided at a news conference coming at noon Pacific time. One prominent political journalist predicts the president's surprise decision to visit Ukraine may not go over well with residents of East Palestine, Ohio, still reeling from the recent train derailment.
As someone who has spent the past 4 days in East Palestine, I'm going to think that there's going to be a lot of people that's going to quibble with his decision to go there.
Selena Zito interviewed on the Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network. This is SRN News.
Wouldn't it be great to work in a place that makes a positive impact on the people, businesses, and churches around you? That place exists. I know because I work there. My name is Cassie, and I'm the digital marketing specialist with Salem Media Group in Pittsburgh. Right now, 101.5 Word FM and Salem Surround have an opening for one talented salesperson to join our team. Is that you? We'll bring the training, you just bring the talent. An understanding of digital marketing and some direct sales experience will definitely help you stand out. What are you waiting for? Take the first step to a career that is challenging, rewarding, and helps to create terrific results for our amazing customers. Join the sales team at Salem Media Group Pittsburgh. Email your resume to brad.marshall@salempittsburgh.com. That's brad.marshall@salempittsburgh.com. Salem Media Group is an equal opportunity employer.
Late summer this year, you can join Alistair Begg on a fascinating Mediterranean cruise.
Our journey together will end in Venice, once home to some of the brightest Christian writers and theologians of history. Venice was the backdrop for faith-shaping ideas and serious conversations around the scriptures. It's the perfect place for us to celebrate all that God has done and to rejoice in the new friends that we've made during our incredible Mediterranean cruise.
Join Alistair Begg for a once-in-a-lifetime Mediterranean cruise. Immerse yourself in the wonder of some of the world's most famous cathedrals, museums, and works of art. We'll be sailing on Norwegian Cruise Line's newest ship, the luxurious Viva. For details, log on to deeperfaithcruise.com. Then call 855-565-5519 to join. 855-565-5519. Inspiration Cruises and Tours is a trusted partner of Salem Media Group.
South Point Telecom specializes in electronic chimes for your church or community center. Replace or upgrade your existing bells with affordable, high-fidelity musical carillons. This is Don Hoder with 30 years experience at South Point Telecom with audio, video systems, office phones, and computer cabling. Phone me now for a quick, affordable price. 412-646-6262 or go to southpointtelecom.com.
Brr, I'm cold.
You know why you're cold? Because we need to replace our windows.
It's going to be expensive.
Well, we lose money every time the wind blows.
I don't want to deal with a high-pressure salesperson.
Well, our neighbors used Energy Swing windows and doors and they loved them.
Oh, they have over 500 five-star reviews.
The Energy Swing is a complete lifetime warranty for a peace of mind guarantee. So if we replace the windows and doors with them, we'll never have to do it again.
I'll make an appointment today at EnergySwingWindows.com.
Cloudy skies for tonight with a passing shower. Tonight's low 39. Couple of morning showers tomorrow. Otherwise, it'll be windy with clouds yielding to sunshine. We'll reach a high tomorrow of 50. Mostly cloudy skies expected for tomorrow night with a low of 28. As we look to Wednesday, we'll see a thick cloud cover with rain in the afternoon. Expect a high Wednesday of 48. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Drew Shannon.
Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
You'll see this, in local news or in the local press or whatnot. A gun has been confiscated at the airport. This happens fairly regularly, right? You go, oh, another gun was, Anyway, I saw a piece today from the AP, and they report this. That last year, the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, intercepted 6,542 guns going through the airport checkpoints. 6,542 guns. It roughly comes out to 18 guns intercepted per day. I mean, an all-time high.
I can't figure out what person goes to an airport to get on an airplane thinking that they can bring their handgun with them.
Well, in this article, and it's in today's Trib, they talk about this. A woman flying out of Philadelphia last year remembered to pack snacks, prescription medicine, and a cell phone in her handbag. But what was more important was what she forgot to unpack, a loaded .380 caliber handgun in a black holster. Now, they're saying, of course, that everyone who gets busted for this says, oops, I just forgot. I didn't mean to bring this in with me. Now, I would imagine more often than not that's the case, right? The people are just
How do you
careless.
forget that?
I don't know. I can't speak to that. But my guess is you just carry it with you. It's like your cell phone. It becomes just a part of your appendage to the tune of over 6,000 guns. 6,542 guns. Now, if you get caught with this, you can get fined generally $15,000.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow.
Yeah. A lot of times they'll slap you on the wrist. If the gun's unloaded, they'll allow you to put it in your checked baggage and you go on your way. And then, of course, the courts will catch up with you later on. But, man, people just aren't paying attention. I mean, I just think it goes to more people are armed, of course, we know this, than ever before in American society. And of those percentage of people who are armed, a smaller percentage are just forgetting to leave their gun in their car.
That's not a good sign. That is not a good sign.
No.
So I went through TSA multiple times over the last week because I was traveling.
Yeah.
And when you're packing, I shouldn't speak for other people. When I'm packing for a trip, I have a system in place. Okay, so the things that are going to be in one bag, the things that are going to be in another bag. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's a long trip, it's the things I'm going to check and the things I'm going to carry on. Right. This trip, I was just carrying everything on.
Carry on.
But you have a plan, right? You figure out, okay, so I need to make sure I don't bring shampoo in large bottles. I need to make sure, you do all that. How does handgun not register on your list of things that you're going to handle?
You're just presupposing the people are like you and are organized like you.
But you can't, what I'm saying is I don't know how you get through TSA without being organized. I mean, you carry, you're just going to throw all your shampoo away, or you don't give any thought to getting on an airplane?
You stood in those lines. There's always a coconut ahead of you.
There aren't many coconuts, though. I mean, Lisa, I haven't seen somebody who gets on with I don't know. I just haven't.
A gigantic container of shampoo.
Yeah,
right?
Because you're not going to do that. If you're concerned about shampoo, why are you not more concerned about your weapon?
I don't do it. I can't speak to it. I don't know. I'm just more. We're still taking our belts off and our shoes off.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's never going to go away, is it? Right? Because one guy put a bomb in the sole of his shoe.
Right, and that was that.
I mean, we're all in our belts. I mean, it's so humiliating, isn't it? You can see why people would want to carry a gun through it because people are so angry.
Listen, and you're so rushed. Mm-hmm. Because you're trying to get through quickly. You've got people on both sides of you.
Right.
You're trying to get your shoes off. You're trying to get your belt off.
Get a laptop.
Right.
You're schlepping through.
And you've got to take your sweater off or your sweatshirt and put that in. And don't forget your phone.
It's humiliating.
My husband walked through with a pack of gum in his pocket.
Oh, no.
And the TSA agent was like, "Hey, buddy, what do you think this is?" Mm. My husband's like, "Is he talking to me?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "This is a," what did he say? "This is a," Eric said, "Well, it's not metal. It's not metal. I never thought I'd take it out." He goes, "It's a microwave, not a metal detector." Like, we know it's a microwave.
Would you want that job? Would you want to be a TSA agent?
No, but he was.
It's a thankless job.
He was.
But can you imagine anytime you're dealing with the public? It's just got to be a thankless.
Yeah, but
especially in that situation.
Yes, but you have a choice.
I know.
You have a choice. We are boarding at Dulles Airport yesterday, and the dude who's on the microphone in the airport telling you, okay, boarding group 1 or boarding group 2.
Sure.
He was such a friendly voice.
Yeah, good.
And he was happy to be there. He was happy we were there, whatever. It turned out that when we got on the airplane, everybody was getting established in their seats, and the gentleman ahead of me went to stretch. Like, he got into a seat and went to stretch and broke the seat.
But he stretched in the seat.
He's sitting in the seat, and he just, kind of, right?
Oh, he leaned back.
Does a little stretch, leans back, and the whole chair, the seat right in front of me, ends up in my lap.
Did you get hurt?
I did not get hurt. But this poor man was extremely shocked, as was I. And it turned into a big, huge thing about what are they going to do? they had to ask somebody to leave the flight who was flying standby.
To make room for the guy.
To make room for him, right, who had a ticket. And then they had to bring maintenance on to figure out how to secure the seat. That's a first. Right, how to secure the seat. So they initially thought they were going to remove the seat. Mm-hmm. They couldn't figure out how to remove it. So then my husband and I had to leave because we were behind him. So we had to go stand in the back with the flight attendants while they figured out what to do without. Then the wife of the man who broke the seat, they said that she had to leave because he couldn't access the seat with her there. So then they offered $700 to somebody to leave the flight so
cash.
that this woman could get her seat.
Take
so
the cash.
she took the cash and left. The other woman moved. I mean, it took 2 hours.
2 hours
to get this worked out.
Wait, you were set to leave like at what time?
We were set to leave at 2:15
in the afternoon.
Yep.
2:15 p.m. It didn't leave until 4:15.
And we were in okay, but here's the thing. This very friendly man I'm talking about who
broke the seat?
No, the very friendly man who was working at the gate.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Working for the airline. He was so kind about it. He came onto the aircraft. He said, "You guys, we're so sorry about this. This is so crazy. We're super sorry. If you'd like to deplane and wait in the airport instead of here, you can do that."
Oh.
I mean, he was so he could have been an anxious voice amping up the situation, but instead he was a comforting voice, bringing the level of emotion down.
Did people get off?
Nobody got off, which I was surprised about.
You didn't get off?
Well, I was in the back with the flight attendants. So they were giving us snacks back there because they felt badly for us. Yeah.
You had like little Cheez-Its or something?
He poured me a Coke with ice and everything. Yeah, it was really nice because we had to stand for 2 hours.
I mean, I've never heard of a seat breaking.
I never have either.
You fly long
and
enough.
Let me tell you how shocking it is when it happens in your lap.
Yeah. It's a good thing your knees weren't damaged.
If I would have been standing up, like trying to access, I would have been. I mean, could have easily broken my arm.
Oh, you might have got more than $700.
It's fine.
Okay, Asbury University. We're going to talk to someone next who was there. Stay with us.
101.5 WORD.
There are 3 ways of dealing with the Bible, especially when you come to a passage that you don't quite agree with or understand. The first tactic is to pick and choose what you want to believe. The second is to remain ignorant of what the Bible has to say at all. The third is to dig into the Word and try to understand all of it, whether or not you like what it has to say. Well, if you fall into that last category or would like to, please join us this week on Through the Bible Radio.
This evening at 9 p.m. on 101.5 WORD. My 6-year-old nephew got his first Bible for Christmas this year. He raised the Bible over his head in celebration, and as he did, caught his mom on the bridge of her nose, leaving us considering stitches. Hebrews says that the Word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword, but I don't think this is what that meant. It's Ryan from United Faith Mortgage, and we'd like to slam you in the head with an important word as well. Many experts believe that even with interest rates higher, this year should be a better year to buy a home. Inventory should go up, competition over homes has come down, allowing prices to stabilize, closing cost concessions from the seller are back in play, making it for many a good time to finally find that dream home while it's available, with the strategy to refinance once rates settle. If your family is thinking new home, we hope you'll remember us, our direct lender advantage, and that we provide a $1,000 lender credit at closing, a big thing my nephew would definitely celebrate. We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Mortgage lender license 22672.
What if I told you you can save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of people like you by offering free ultrasound sessions to pregnant girls and women who otherwise might choose to end their pregnancy. We know that pregnant girls and women who can see their babies on ultrasound are far more likely to choose life. Your gift today can save babies' lives. Just $28 can give a mother the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a click or a phone call away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or you can do it safe and secure online by clicking on the Preborn banner at wordfm.com.
To serve as a ruling elder is a high and holy office. RPTS now offers 5 flexible online courses to help you shepherd the Church of God. The Ruling Elders program features courses on biblical counseling, interpretation, worship, the church, care and administration, plus preaching at elective options that best fit your ministry paradigm. No papers, no exams, just solid biblical teaching from experienced pastor professors. Individual and group rates available. RPTS, Study Under Pastors. Learn more at rpts.edu.
For almost 2 weeks, and perhaps even now, revival is in the air. You may have heard the stories, maybe you tuned in on YouTube because it was streaming live, about Asbury University in Kentucky. People, the students were there, were just in praise and in worship for many, many days. And then what happened is people from outside the area, far, far away from foreign countries, flew in or drove in to be part of the worship experience. Our next guest was there himself. Rev Kevin Gourley is with us. He's the associate pastor at Memorial Park Evangelical Church. And Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, John. I appreciate it. Good to be here.
So, Kevin, I know you well enough to know that revival is something that you've been...
Wait. Who is this?
This is Kathy Emmons, you goof.
Yeah, I know, Kathy.
So, You've been curious about revival, for a long time. So, tell us about how it kind of captured your attention initially.
You know, I just had a hunger and thirst for God all my life, probably not even realizing it. And then when I became a Christian... in 75, and then went on to seminary and into church work. I just had this hunger for a spiritual rebirth of the church, and it just grew organically in me. And I came to Pittsburgh, I believe, in 91 as the associate at Memorial Park, thinking I'd be there a few years and then move on. But something about Pittsburgh captured me, and I think it was hearing from one of my mentors, Paul Everett, who was the director of the Pittsburgh Experiment, about Sam Shoemaker, and Sam's vision that he prayed that one day Pittsburgh would be more famous for God than for steel. And something about that just captured me, and the beauty of the city, and the hills and so forth. And then I started connecting with prayer groups all over the city, praying for the city, and met some pretty incredible people.
So, Kevin, you hear about what happened at Asbury. I mean, the first reports came out were pretty breathless. What was your reaction?
Well, I tell you what happened. I met a guy named Bob Jamison, who many are familiar with. Sure. He was executive director of youth development, I believe, or youth guidance. That's right, before it became family guidance. And we met, and he had a heart for revival like me. So he said, Kev, you got to see this video of what happened at a place called Asbury College in 1970. I went to his office, and I was captivated by it. And I said, man, that's what we need to be praying for, that it could happen in the city of Pittsburgh. So, we've been praying, a lot of pastors, a lot of intercessors around the city for over 30 years now. And there's been people way before us that were praying and praying and praying. And so, we're just praying, and there'd be seasons of deep prayer, and we could see the beginnings of revival here, which is God's presence saturating a locality and a person. And then last week I get a call from Dean Weaver, who was the lead pastor at Memorial Park for 15 years, and now the head of the Evangelical Presbyterian Church of the state of Clark. He said, and I was actually sick in bed. I'd preached through the weekend. I was dead tired. I had that virus. And he said, Kev, I heard about Asbury. And I said, what, Asbury College Revival of 1970? And he said, no. He said, what's happening now? I said, what's happening now? He said, for 5 days, the Holy Spirit has fallen on the place, and there's been a continual worship service for 24/7 for 5 days. And I said, what? And he said, listen, I need hands and feet of Presbyterian pastor down there to observe and report what's happening. Would you be interested in going? And it was like I was Lazarus rising from the dead. I said, "This is what I've been praying for. I didn't even know about it because I've been in bed for 5 days."
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm packing now." And my wife says, "You're not going anywhere. You're sick." And I said, "God's calling, and I'm Lazarus, and I'm leaving." I backed up, and I said, "Dean, I'm packing now." He said, Wait, Kev, you know, we've got a new lead pastor that's the age of my son, 36 years old. He said, "You need to ask your boss if you can go." And I said, "You're absolutely right, because I'm under his authority." I called him up, and he said, "Go, go, 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 go."
Wow.
And I went there, drove 7 hours, got there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, left about 6 or 7 in the morning.
What day was this?
And this was on Tuesday of last week.
Okay.
So it's been going on for, I think, 10 days. You've heard the latest news that they're kind of shutting it down by Wednesday. But I went into Hughes Auditorium, which I'd seen on video for 30 years, where the first or 1970 revival broke out. And I couldn't find a seat. I mean, it was so full. I went up into the balcony, and I finally found a seat, and I sat down, and I looked to my left. It looked like kind of a truck driver with a beard and a hat. And I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Toledo." And then a young couple came in and sat to my right. I said, "Where are you guys from?" They said, "We just flew in from Houston." And I'm thinking, what? I'm pinching myself. I can't believe this is happening. And it was like the video I saw. People were standing and raising their hands and praising, and they were just going from one song to another. And then maybe one would come up and in front of the auditorium with a little microphone and share a scripture, share something briefly, maybe confess a sin. And then people would begin to come forward to the altar to kneel down and accept prayer. And then the singing would start softly. And it was like a gentle breeze that was blowing through, and then it would pick up for a while. And you could feel the weighty presence of God. It's something I'm still trying to process and figure out what happened. So I just sat in the back for hours, kind of in the shadow with my journal out, taking notes and praising God.
Total time, Kev? How long were you there?
You know, I got there Tuesday afternoon, and I left, when was it? I left Thursday morning. But all I can say is when you get into something like that, and I've been in something like that once with just a few other guys, but never in a crowd like this. There was about 1,100 people in the auditorium. Your chronological time, chronos, turns into kairos time, which is no time at all. And I was there for a day and a half before I had to come back. I had a wedding over the weekend, so I had to come back for a rehearsal. And I felt like I was there for a week. I mean, I felt like there was no time. It was I felt a weightiness. I felt an incredible sense of peace. It wasn't overwhelming to me, but some of the people around it, they were very, very honest, very broken, very real. But very joyful too. And what was impressive, John and Kathy, was it was student led. I mean, people would get up on stage. There were no preachers. They had the ABCs of sharing, which meant A, all about Jesus, B, be brief, and C, be current. So people would get up and maybe share for a minute and a half. It might just be a scripture. It might be a short confession. It might be a really brief testimony, and then they would sit down.
Fabulous.
And there were no big names.
So, Kev, I've been reading about it a lot. I mean, I'm so grateful that you're there and talking to us about it. But, of course, people come at this from a lot of different angles. One of the things which I didn't even think about, which has been raised, was the idea of emotional manipulation. People said, well, hey, yeah, you're walking into something and, you get caught up in the wave, and it may or may not have been the Holy Spirit. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I didn't get a sense of that at all. There was no crowd manipulation. It was very, very gentle. Sometimes it was humorous because, like the wind blows, sometimes the wind picks up and you can feel its power. And other times it's just brief and refreshing. But the times that it did pick up and people were really singing, some people were jumping up and down with their hands raised on the balcony. Yeah. And one of the administrators came out and said, hey guys, listen, this place was built in 1890. It's a strong structure, but we don't want the praisers upstairs to land on the praisers downstairs. So if you're into jumping jacks and that's fine. We want you to feel free here. But the jumpers, if you can come down and replace the people downstairs that want to sit, that would really encourage not having reconstruction of the building.
So
I didn't feel any of that. Yeah.
And now, I mean, days and days after the experience for yourself. What's your thought process like? What are you thinking about? What are you feeling?
I'm kind of a type A driven, anxious person. I like to be alone with the Lord, but I'm with a lot of people and a lot of hurting people and feel their pain. I just feel I feel this kind of steady peace. It's like one of those, what do you call those things that you go to these fancy motels and they have these rivers that kind of float around? Lazy river, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I feel like a lazy river has just been flowing through me. And yeah, there's kind of a non-anxious presence that's within me that I feel like, God's in control. God is over this. We can't manipulate him. We can't control it. We can't program a revival. The only thing we can do is, I think Henry Blackaby says, and Pastor Dean said this to me, you find out where God is moving, and you go there and observe and report back to duty. And that's what I've done. The amazing thing is, thinking about this not selfishly, but in an introverted way. When I came to Pittsburgh, the first thing I really just lit my fire was watching this Asbury revival videotape for a half an hour with Bob Jamison. That stoked something in me. I said, I want to be a part of that. And I'm getting ready to retire in about 3 or 4 weeks, actually about 5 or 6 weeks.
Nice.
And that God would love me enough to get me out of bed from a phone call from a friend to actually go and witness what I've always wanted to see in my last days of what quote unquote paid ministry.
Right. 30 plus years.
Yeah. Just that he would love me enough to let me be an eyewitness to what I think could be historic.
Well, the hope is that it's not historic in some ways, that the movement of the Holy Spirit follows you back to Pittsburgh, and that wind finds its way here
the
as well.
lazy river.
Yeah, the lazy river.
That's great, man. I hope so. I mean, John Wesley said, when they were talking about the revival that was breaking out, the First Great Awakening in America, the 1730s, I think, he said, I caught on fire and people just gathered around to watch me burn.
Yeah.
And, whether it's a slow burn or a flame, I felt like I witnessed the burning bush. And then Sam Shoemaker said, revive your church beginning with me. And that's been my prayer. And it's been a painful prayer, because when hopefully you're on fire, it burns away the dross. And for me, that's 66 years of burning a lot of dross away. Just that we would reflect Jesus more. And I'm a long ways from that. So, I'm still discerning, still processing. Lord, I'm your servant. What do you want? I don't want to be just a believer that goes along and then I die and go to heaven because Jesus saved me. The last years I have on earth, maybe it's counting the cost more, but whatever it takes to be close to Jesus and to be in his unconditional love, that love would flow through me to others for purposes of transformation. That's all I want.
Kevin, I can't thank you enough for joining us today and giving us your thoughts, sharing some of your, processing as you think through it. Really value your input, but also really value you.
Oh, well, I think, somebody said that to me the other day, and it really touched me deeply. I appreciate that, Kathy. I appreciate you guys and what you're doing. Everybody in Memorial Park knows about you guys. They listen on their drive home. You're a main feeder, feeder of the flock here in Pittsburgh.
That's Kevin Gourley, Memorial Park Evangelical Presbyterian Church.
The notion of vocational calling assumes that there is a caller. And of course, at Grove City College, they know that the caller is the living God. At Grove City, they're committed to helping us pursue God's vision for your life and believe that you will be charged as you find the sense and purpose in the working world. That is at the core of what Grove City does. The caller is there. The faculty, the staff, the students are all involved in that calling.
So when a student sees that website and reads that, I'm hoping that there's a change, that there's a difference, thinking that there's some force outside my house, my family, my school, who cares about my future, who's invested in my future.
Yep.
And so even if someone doesn't believe in God, is that a comfort to know that with all the options there are in the world, with all the places that I could go to school, with all the things that I could study, is there somebody who can direct me? And the faculty at Grove City College believe that God is that director. And I've seen through my family faculty members who have helped my kids understand that they're listening to God, the faculty is, my kids are listening to God, and they're working together to pursue a big and bold future.
The calling is yours. Grove City College, gcc.edu.
We're entering a time of hostility against the faithful, a time when Christians are going to be tested on a moral, physical, and even financial basis, unlike any other time in your life. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnow, Christian author and evangelical leader, here to remind you that you are the one that has to take action to protect and steward the gifts that God has given you. For example, with record high inflation eating away at the dollar, many people's savings and retirement is going to start to evaporate. Fortunately, God always provides a way to fight back. To protect your retirement, I recommend that you diversify your 401k or IRA right out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with Gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Now, to see how it works, just text the word DIVINE, D-I-V-I-N-E, to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold IRAs. There are no strings attached. So text DIVINE to 989898 right now, and I pray your family is blessed with continued prosperity.
Discover the magnificence of the Mediterranean with Alistair Begg and our trusted partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours. 9 life-changing days of powerful worship, Bible study, and history. Sign up now, deeperfaithcruise.com.
Ask Alexa to play the word Pittsburgh to hear us there. We're on your Google speaker too, plus iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. 101.5 WORD FM, Pittsburgh.
Cloudy skies for tonight with a passing shower. Tonight's low 39. Couple of morning showers tomorrow. Otherwise, it'll be windy with clouds yielding to sunshine. We'll reach a high tomorrow of 50. Mostly cloudy skies expected for tomorrow night with a low of 28. As we look to Wednesday, we'll see a thick cloud cover with rain in the afternoon. Expect a high Wednesday of 48. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Drew Shannon.
Does this make sense?
Yeah, does what make sense?
Waiting in line, maybe a long line, John.
Yeah.
For the food you want at an airport.
No, it does not make any sense. I would have to be starved to do that. I see those lines and I go, not interested. I'm just not going to do it. Anytime there's like a super long line, whether you're like at a concert or a fair or no, I'll get by. Believe me, I have plenty of fat reserves that I don't have to worry about, like, eating my toe. No, I'm not interested. Waiting in line for that? No. You? Does it make sense to you?
Makes all the sense in the world,
Get
John.
outta
And
here.
here's why,
Come
and I'm
on.
happy to defend my position on this. When you are flying, it's a little bit of a process that you're involved in.
Didn't you bring some snacks?
I brought some snacks.
You're good.
Okay. But sometimes there's just a thing that catches your attention.
Then you're in line for like a half an hour,
Listen.
45 minutes,
Listen.
an hour.
Listen to me. I saw the line at Starbucks.
Nope, not happening.
In Washington Dulles Airport. And I thought to myself, I'm going there. You know why? Because I wanted green tea, venti iced green tea unsweetened. And I thought, that's a really long line.
Forget it.
So my husband went back and sat down. He didn't give a care.
Yep.
He's like you. And I looked at that line and I thought, this makes sense to me. I'm at home in this line.
And how long were you there?
40 minutes.
Oh.
I got a nice green tea. I felt so good about it. Went back, enjoyed it, and it was the right choice for me. You know why?
Why?
Because that makes sense.
Doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so we're on a little food jag here, unbeknownst. Does this make sense? Pimento loaf.
Oh.
I was at the deli.
Like olive loaf is what it's called,
Exactly.
right? With pimento, sure.
Yeah, pimento. I was at the deli the other day. This guy saddles up.
Yeah.
All happy and proud.
Yeah.
Give me 2 pounds of pimento loaf. I was like, 2 pounds? I'm like, I'd do like an experiment, maybe like with a quarter pound, maybe.
Or could I have a sample?
I mean, 2 pounds. He's like committed to pimento loaf. And he was a big guy. My gram used to, like,
My mom loved it.
Pimento loaf. So it's like beef and pork.
It's bologna, basically, with olives in it.
Olives and pimentos.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I had it. And
Listen,
that guy,
I was probably 6 the last time I had that.
yeah. I mean, I think I'd rather have chipped ham if I was going to go that route
Yeah,
as
no,
opposed
I think
to pimento
so.
loaf.
I think so.
Right?
I feel like I can confidently say that does not make sense.
Doesn't make sense to me either. And I wouldn't wait in line for a deli for that or green tea because that doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it does. So you're missing out. When you're in an airport, you're in a sense, you have got a sense of desperation.
Sit there and read.
101.5 WORD.
You're listening now, so we know you're a fan of the radio station.
I am a big fan.
And we want you to know that we appreciate you.
I'm your #1 fan.
That's why we've developed the Word FM Fan Club. It's free to join, and once you do, you can take part in exclusive surveys and contests.
Yeah, I love contests.
Special offers.
Great giveaways.
Discounts, freebies.
I'd like to win one of these contests.
Become a member today. Go to wordfm.com/fan club and sign up.
We're big fans.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Train up a child in the way they should go. Well, you know the rest. It's a calling you take very seriously as a Christian parent. And Trinity Christian School in Forest Hills seeks to honor your commitment by working together with parents to prepare students who are academically sound and spiritually ready to take their place in the world through a classical approach to education that helps build a faith from which they will never depart. Trinity Christian School, one of the top K-12 schools in Allegheny County, at trinitychristian.net.
This spring, join Danny Goki, Jordan Feliz, and Blanca on the Jesus People Tour, heading to your city. Join Danny, Jordan, and Blanca in Moon Township, Pennsylvania at Impact Christian Church on Thursday, March 23rd. That's Moon Township, Pennsylvania on March 23rd. The Jesus People Tour, live in your city. More information at transparentproductions.com.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Giving advice is tricky, isn't it?
It sure
Fraught.
is. Are you kidding me?
Uh-huh. But of course, many people go to therapists or life coaches or career coaches. And so I saw a piece about 10 pieces of well-worn advice. 10 things that are pretty standard, people go, that would run across the board.
Okay.
Your therapist might say
Where's this from?
Right? That's, of all places, NPR.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
We'll speak about it in hushed tones.
Okay, so briefly, here are these 10 pieces of well-worn advice.
Am I supposed to respond whether I think that it's good advice or not? Or?
I think we'll chime in here.
Okay.
There's more than one way to do something. The person says, I remember scrubbing a pan when I was maybe 8 or 9. There was something that was stuck on the pan that wouldn't come off. I just kept scrubbing it. And my dad stopped me. He grabbed a fork and just scraped it off. He looked at me and he said, Judy, there's more than one way to do something. From that moment on, I've been looking at every problem in my life. How can I do this problem in a different way?
I like that. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. Now, but don't you think that there are demonstrated ways to do it better? It's not just different ways. Like some ways are just better.
Without a doubt, right?
I mean, you can use the fork to scrape off the pan, but you can also let it soak.
I'm a big soaker myself.
Let it soak, and then it's
so much easier.
Easier
right?
for you and better for the pan. So that's a better way.
You don't be scraping your pan with a fork, right? Ruin
Unless
the pan.
it's a cast iron pan. Why would you want to do that? Why would you? I don't even scrape my cast iron pans with forks.
Different ways of doing things. Okay, here's number 2. The hate will come at the same rate as the love. Okay, the person says, the best advice I ever received was that the hate will come at the same rate as the love. There will always be people who are so dissatisfied with themselves that they have to project that onto other people. And instead of trying to focus on the negative, I tend to try to put more energy into the people and the things that are showing me love and support. Well, that makes sense. But
well, in our line of work, if we didn't think that way, we'd have expired after day 2.
Well, there's a guy who used to work here. He got so much hate, he walked out of the studio one day and said, I'm done.
Right.
In the middle of a show.
This is over.
I'm done. And you get that.
Yes.
It's hard to absorb the rancor, right? So you lean towards.
But I don't think it. I don't know if I buy the fact that it comes at equal rate.
No, not in today's world.
No.
Right?
Not in this business either.
Number 3, do smaller loads of laundry.
Okay, this goes against how my family looks at laundry. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. Okay, so someone says, the number one thing I need to know about going away to college, and they said, do smaller loads of laundry. Your clothes will come out cleaner. That makes sense to me because you jam all that in there.
I just don't understand the philosophy that the people I live with operate in.
Well, they want to do, just get it done.
Yeah, they've just everything. There's white and non-white. And if there are 30 non-white things, they're all going to go in there. I do really small loads of laundry.
Well, it does require more water and more energy. It does. Right? There is a trade-off there.
Okay, but I go to the lowest setting as far as water.
I mean, you have to convince me.
All of a sudden, I'm justifying myself,
I'm just
Lexi.
saying, you don't have to convince me. I'm with you, right? But there's something to be said about the super load setting. My sofa's going into super load.
Yeah, I can't. I don't like that super load. Lexi, do you do small or large loads?
Oh no, I do big loads. Because
smash it in there.
I'm the worst kind of person. I wait until almost all my clothes are dirty, and then I just do a bajillion loads.
I think that's typical. I do.
I think Lex is making it hard on herself.
It's terrible. I know, but
well, she's only 23.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe when she's our age, she'll.
I need to speak to you about that later, Lexi.
As you should.
Okay, number 4, being vulnerable means taking off our armor.
Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah, being vulnerable means taking off our armor, going in, not knowing how we'll be received, but putting ourselves out there a little bit anyway.
Yes.
Yes, but again, the slings and arrows of what it is to be alive, you can understand why people would put on that armor. There's a lot of trust involved. Trust in yourself that you can absorb those slings and arrows, and trust in others that they will not crush you. Right?
Yeah, I don't even know if you can trust people not to crush. I mean,
you take your armor off and you go home.
Yes, for the people who know you and love you.
Right. But in the world?
Or, I mean, obviously I just got back from a trip, so I'm thinking of traveling.
Oh, that armor is on thick.
That armor is on thick when you travel because you're with people you don't know.
People break in your seats.
Right. People right in your lap,
yeah.
John.
What the heck? You need some armor there for your kneecaps. Go where the energy goes. Someone says, the best piece of advice I ever received was go where the energy goes. What has good vibes? What makes you feel good about yourself? Head in that direction. That is a recipe for disaster.
I think that's a terrible piece of advice.
That's a recipe for disaster. I'm going for the good vibes always. Well, yeah.
I think we've both done that a lot in our past.
Oh, I got a lot of stories about good vibrations gone bad.
Right.
Falling off a cliff. With the Beach Boys. I mean,
that ended.
No, the good vibes, short-lived. And then you pay the price
of
the bad vibes.
A good vibe can turn into a bad vibe.
Whoa.
Surprising quickness.
On a dime. Yep. Okay, number 6. It's not all about you.
Yes.
Yep. The best piece of advice I was given, someone says, when I was in a situation where a tough decision had to be made and it feels personal, I remind myself that it's not always about me and that I'm one piece of a bigger universe that's at play. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Be a team player.
That's pretty elementary.
Surrender. Well, you got to tell people that. Right?
I guess.
Because we live in a world of narcissist egomaniacs.
I guess.
Right? Okay, number 7. This is good. Expect yourself to change.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We all change every 5 years or so, more or less. We have to expect ourselves to change, and we have to expect people in our lives to change. That little piece of advice has given me a lot of space for room and for growth.
Okay, that's good. I can go with that.
Number 8, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Far too often I've seen us try to recreate what we want people to be only to later find out exactly that they are exactly what they have been demonstrating. I mean, you know that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like a young dating thing.
Yep.
Right? Oh, I just love that. She makes me go. And then all of a sudden the roof caves in and you go, but wait a second. I really want her to be.
But she's not.
No.
And she already showed you that she isn't.
But,
So give up on it.
That comes just with experience. Hard won, painful experience.
Yep.
Pace out your self-improvement.
What does that mean?
Don't be so overly involved with your self-improvement. Accept the gifts and abilities that you have, and don't spend so much time trying to develop new ones that you sacrifice your gifts.
I don't really know what that means.
Pace out your self-improvement.
Pace out. I already gave up sugar, so therefore I don't have to.
I mean,
combat my own racism. It's like I think we could be on a perpetual path of
some of that stuff you read, you go.
Okay, so I'm going to pull out the Christian card here, but that's one of those moments where self-improvement falls flat, because what really helps is to realize when you're wrong, confess it, and repent. That's where it really, that's what self-improvement really is, except it's not self-improvement.
Right.
It's God improving us. Thank you, God.
That's good.
But you know what I mean? It's just one of those things you think, well, taking God out of the equation, that sounds kind of dumb.
I mean, I'm reading from NPR here.
Okay.
So, okay. Final one. It's okay to say, I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that that's a good lesson.
And how about maybe realizing that we don't know and just being humble in talking to someone else who does.
But we're raised, hey, don't you know? You should know.
Everybody listen.
And if you
to
don't
me.
know, it's just that humility thing again.
Yeah, humility.
I don't know.
I
don't have a clue.
John,
More
I don't
often
know.
than not.
I don't know.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
I don't think it does make sense.
What if I told you can save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of people like you by offering free ultrasound sessions to pregnant girls and women who otherwise might choose to end their pregnancy. We know that pregnant girls and women who can see their babies on ultrasound are far more likely to choose life. Your gift today can save babies' lives. Just $28 can give a mother the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a click or a phone call away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or you can do it safe and secure online by clicking on the Preborn banner at wordfm.com.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
South Point Telecom specializes in electronic chimes for your church or community center. Replace or upgrade your existing bells with affordable, high-fidelity musical carillons. This is Don Hoder with 30 years experience at South Point Telecom with audio, video systems, office phones, and computer cabling. Phone me now for a quick, affordable price. 412-646-6262 or go to southpointtelecom.com.
America is giving away its inventions and technology to China.
The Chinese Communist Party intends to surpass us and to be the world leader in innovative technology.
The shocking new movie, Innovation Race, exposes the potential Chinese takeover of 5G and the internet, threatening America's economic and military security.
Dominating technology means you dominate the world itself.
Watch the movie Innovation Race now on demand or DVD at salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
Hey, bald eagles are back in the news.
Hey.
All right. The female Pittsburgh bald eagle laid her first egg of the season Friday evening at 5:30.
Not that anyone's watching.
According to the Audubon Society, the Hayes couple, in their 11th consecutive breeding season, nesting along a steep hillside high above the Monongahela River near the Glenwood Bridge, has successfully raised 18 eaglets over the many years. Quote, "They're like an old married couple now," said Annette DeVinny of Monroeville, who along with her husband Jerry have been photographing this pair of eagles for more than a decade. These eagles bicker, they redecorate, and he still brings her treats. And the birds are not going anywhere. Quote, "They've lost their nest 3 times already, and they continue to rebuild within that 100-yard area on the hillside." The Hayes couple, their first bald eagles for the nest in the city of Pittsburgh in more than 150 years, typically lay 2 to 3 eggs spaced several days apart. Both male and females take turn around the clock incubating the eggs, which hatch around 35 days. Last year, the Hayes eagles, a female eagle laid 3 eggs on February 11, 14, and 17, and all 3 eggs hatched, and all 3 eagles fledged the nest. Isn't that cool? Now, you can see them online. There's a Facebook page on Pittsburgh's Cam, YouTube, Pittsburgh Hayes Bald Eagle. Last year, more than 2.4 million people in 50 countries watched the Pittsburgh Bald Eagles via the webcam.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
We're not giving that family a lot of privacy, are we?
No, they're not really aware, right? They're not really aware.
You think.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
All right. That's
The bald
really,
eagles.
really good. So maybe she'll
Do a few
lay
more.
another egg today and maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day.
Have you looked at this YouTube video?
The one from, no, the most recent one?
It's
no.
incredible.
I bet it is.
Seriously, they are so gigantic and so fierce and so beautiful. I mean, it's really worth looking at. The Hayes Bald
I like
Eagle.
how they redecorate.
Well, yeah, of course.
Gotta spruce up the place.
The trees, are damaged or fall down or whatever. So they build can you imagine the size of that nest?
No.
It's got to be, stretch your arms out that big, right? And they both take turns. And they hang out. I mean, so whenever they're done, do they just go fly away together?
I don't know. You mean after they're done raising their eaglets?
Or do they go their separate ways? Or are they mating for life?
I think they've mated for life. I think
Let's
bald
bring somebody
eagles
on.
mate for life. Could you?
Yeah, I'll bring
let's
somebody
find
on.
somebody to talk about that.
Somebody from the aviary who under that, or the Devenny's here.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And photographing them up close.
Right. Maybe Ralph Crew.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bird lover.
Oh, Ralph, he is a bird lover.
He is.
All right. Hey, that's our show for the day. We are not. Someone just talked about us being on Facebook?
Yeah. We're not on Facebook anymore.
But we are streaming.
You can see us on YouTube, streaming live, YouTube at The Word Pittsburgh. Or if you missed the live version today, you could always go back and watch it tonight.
You can see us. We're just tuning in live.
The Ride Home with John and Kathy, a production of Salem Media Group.
This is Ryan Anderson, president of the Ethics and Public Policy Center for townhall.com. We hear a lot about the science deniers today, but who are the real science deniers? Well, unfortunately, in 21st century post-Roe America, there are people who deny the basic scientific reality that the entity in the womb is an unborn human being. But the message from science is clear and unequivocal. The fetus in the womb is a human baby. And philosophically, morally, that human being should be treated equal because that unborn human being is our equal. It seems obvious, yet abortion advocates contort logic and their own conscience to deny the evidence. It's not an overreach of government to protect the natural right to life of every human being, born and unborn. The science tells us that